Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
To add injury to insult, although it's usually the other way around, the Indiana Fever's entire season may be in jeopardy after that ridiculous loss to the Phoenix Mercury. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19, of course. So as it turns out, and this is wild because I was going to do a video today or tomorrow talking about the Indiana Fever and the roster construction and the minutes played by certain players and talk about how the front office did absolutely nothing at the trade deadline to make this team better for a playoff run. This team is 2 games out of being out of the playoffs. They are 2 games ahead of the teams 8 and 9, tied for the 8th spot between the Sparks and the Valkyries. Both, I believe, have the tie-breaking advantage against the Indiana Fever. The Fever are only 2 games ahead of both of them. And now, as it turns out, Sydney Colson tore her ACL. She is out for the season. Aari McDonald, broken bone in her foot. She is out for the season. The Indiana Fever do not have a point guard available to play. We do not know when Caitlin Clark is coming back. We thought it was maybe mid to late August. We do not know if this is going to impact that. Are they thinking about bringing her back early? Is she actually ready, other than maybe not being in game condition, and now they may bring her back sooner? Because, folks, they do not have a point guard for this team. Most likely, we look at this roster, you're probably going to see maybe Kelsey Mitchell play some point guard time, also see Sophie Cunningham playing some point guard time. But the thing is with that is those two both already have been playing a decent amount of minutes. So you still have a lot of minutes to make up, because Sydney Colson is one of the few players getting consistent minutes off the bench. So you just lost a lot of minutes. Like, usually, not every game, but there have been a lot of situations where if you added Aari McDonald and Sydney Colson's minutes together, you get more than 40. So they're not just being Sydney Colson was Aari McDonald's backup. So now we have a whole lot of issues going forward because they do not have a point guard on this team, let alone 2. We don't have anyone. I don't even know that they have a guard other than Kelsey Mitchell. I know Lexi Hull is listed as a guard, but she has, as we know, has mostly played that 3 slot for this team. Sophie Cunningham has mostly played that 3 slot for this team. My guess is you are going to see Sophie Cunningham play point guard, Kelsey Mitchell off the ball. Obviously, Lexi Hull may then slide it back into the starting lineup where now you have Sophie and Lexi starting. But this is a real problem for the Indiana Fever because we still have for most of these teams, roughly 12 to 14, 12 to 15 games left for the season. And like I said, they are only 2 games ahead of ahead of that final spot, being out of the playoffs, let alone thinking about getting a top 4 seed where they will be home for the season. Indiana Fever announced today that guards Sydney Colson and Aari McDonald will both miss the remainder of the 2025 WNBA season after suffering injuries during the team's game at the Phoenix Mercury Thursday night. Colson sustained an ACL tear in her left knee during the first quarter of the game, non-contact injury. McDonald suffered a broken bone in her right foot in the 4th quarter. And why was Aari McDonald in the 4th quarter? Serious question, right? Why did Kelsey Mitchell play 35 minutes of this game? You were cooked. You were done. This goes back to Nafisa Collier was in him. I know it was only the 3rd quarter at the time, but they were getting, what were they up, like 8,000 points? And there was no reason for Collier to be in that game. There was no reason for McDonald to be in this game with the way they're playing. They could have been playing players out of position. It didn't really matter. You could have gotten minutes. So now we have some tricky things going on because Chloe Bibby comes onto this team. She has a great start. People love her. She's nailing that 3. She brings a different element to the offense. Comes on a 7-day contract, secures a rest of the season contract. As soon as she gets that, Stephanie White says, oh, well, you know what? We're not going to play her. we're not going to play. We're this really deep team, and this is a great opportunity for us without Caitlin. We're better without Caitlin, but we're not going to actually play any of these players. We're not going to give Michaela Timpson consistent minutes, so she's not going to develop and be ready, and she's not going to be able to step up at the end of the season if we need her. Damiris Dantas, we're going to do the same thing. Now, look, there may be an injury. I will say this. I've been wondering about this. If after the Euros, if there's a or not the Euros, sorry, I'm blanking on. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about when she went and played for Brazil in the tournament. And I wonder if she came back not fully healthy, and we just haven't. It hasn't been enough that they're telling us about it. But she has been getting inconsistent minutes. Lexi Hull cannot make a shot, and yet now we have. If we take a look at this, right, get that thing out of the way. We go down, like I said before, they're at 5 right now, 8.5 games out of the top spot, but 8 and 9, Golden State and LA, 10.5 out. That means they're only 2 behind the Fever. They're the 8 and 9 spot. The Indiana Fever are very close. It only takes a little bit of a struggle going forward for this team to fall out of the playoffs. And it's wild because before this happened, I made a comment about this team not having secured a playoff spot yet, that it doesn't take much because they are only 2 games ahead of being out of the playoffs. And someone was like, laughed at me and like, oh, well, they're definitely making the playoffs. Well, we shall see, because this is a real problem. I believe the most optimistic date I saw for Caitlin Clark returning was like the 15th. A lot of people were talking about the following week, the 22nd. And now, of course, the team does not have, like I said, let's run this down. Kelsey Mitchell can play some point guard minutes, but again, she can't make up minutes because Kelsey Mitchell already plays a lot. Aari McDonald's gone. Natasha Howard is not going to make up minutes at the point. Now, she may need to play more minutes. Like they they may need to go weird with some of these lineups. But Natasha Howard may need to play more minutes than, what did she play? 18 last night, I think. We see a lot of games where she plays in the teens or low 20s. She may need to step up and play high 20s to 30, 32 minutes a game. Aaliyah Boston is not going to make a difference. Sophie Cunningham could play some point guard or play the 2 with Kelsey Mitchell. It could be a little mix and match. It could be neither one is the definitive point guard when they're playing together. And she could play a few more minutes probably, although, again, she did not start the third quarter because she had tweaked her ankle again, the one she had injured previously. She had it wrapped up. Now she went back in and played, but obviously that ankle is not 100%. So I don't know that you're going to be able to increase Sophie Cunningham's minutes that much more as well. Lexi Hull may get more minutes now at the 3, not necessarily at the 1 or 2, and it may be sort of a no point guard offense. You may get, Mitchell, Hull, and Cunningham, Howard, and Boston, and then you've got to mix and match. You may need Michaela Timpson. If we go down, Brianna Turner, again, she hasn't played all season long. She may have to play now, but none of this. Turner, Dantas, Timpson, Bibby. But now you may be Bibby getting time again at that 3 that sits Lexi. Lexi may then have to move to the 2 that gives Mitchell and Cunningham some rest. Timpson may have to play the 3 as well, but also she may play the 4, but we have Turner. We can have Turner and Dantas in there with Howard and Boston, and then Michaela Timpson and Chloe Bibby to play the 3, in which Hull and can move to the 2, which gives time for Mitchell and Cunningham to get some rest. Bibby and Timpson may both have to do that. So it's going to be really interesting going forward to see what this team does to get into the playoffs. And then a lot of people are going to have the question of, well, do we even want to bring Caitlin Clark back this season at all? Because I don't think we're going to be making much of a playoff run. Now, Caitlin Clark, being the competitor she is, if she's fully healthy, is going to want to come back and try and help her team. And you can't blame her for that. So anyway, I thought this was something that I had to get out there and talk about, especially since I was going to do a video kind of taking a shot at the front office for standing pat at the trade deadline and not doing anything to add some depth to this team. And now that's a roster without a point guard. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out this video. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really do appreciate it. Go have the day you deserve. I will talk to you later.